Good morning, good morning, good morning. Grandmaster Ware here with Mount Tabor Grand Lodge YouTube channel. We are having our bi-weekly discussion on videos for victory. We have 7 videos that we've watched over the past couple of weeks. We're going to try and discuss those in depth and share with one another so that we all benefit. Hopefully you watching this recording will benefit also. Feel free to contact us. You can look at the About section in our YouTube channel. All of our contact information is there. So with that in mind, good morning, fellas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right. Let me put this on mute. So going from there. We watched a video from or by past Grandmaster, past President General Ali Spencer. Ali Spencer is quite possibly the most decorated Mason in America, in North America. He was the one that was talking about what a real Mason is and how people want to say you're this or that, or you're not this or that. Any key points that stood out to you?
Well, the brother has been traveling for 63 years. So that alone says a lot. Like I think you said in the video, that's a couple of generations. And the history and the journey that he embarked on, man, has to be rich with stories and lessons, and especially for younger members and across different jurisdictions, man. And you know, his delivery and just the things, like the way you could tell the love that he has for the craft and whatnot, and those life lessons, man. The things that he did in his community back in Detroit, you know,
DC.
I mean DC.
I think you're talking about Reverend, not Reverend, Grandmaster Allen. That's what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm asking about Ali Spencer.
We're talking about Spencer right now. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was stuck on the Grandmaster Allen. I'm sorry. But even with Spencer, he was the one that mentioned the craft being taken from Egypt and whatnot, right?
Right.
Okay. Just that alone, just that's history, you know, for a lot of younger members that may not know that, you know what I'm saying, the Freemasonry as we know it, you know, as we practice it today, is in a different light. However, it's still from the same mold, you know what I'm saying, a mystery system, and that system have been helping men or people in general, or society in general, improve and embark on tasks and things that better the world. So that was very enlightening there, just to constantly be reminded of that. And when he broke it down, like Noah's son and all of that being the first builder, and where we get that from, and things like that, building I think what he said, the altar,
right,
onto God, right? Because
right.
Noah built the altar first and whatnot, like all of that was just enlightening. And you know, that also, you know, even though we're not physically building buildings and structures, you know, but you know, metaphorically, you know, we're building ourselves up as temples and structures unto the Most High, the Creator, and being those living structures and those living stones and things like that there, as we build our lives and character and things like that there, man. I mean, that was enriching as well.
It might be easier to build a building than it is to build ourselves. You think?
I agree. I agree, because the hardest person or the hardest adversary to face is yourself, man. The hardest thing to conquer is yourself. We come in the craft like being a young man. When I came in, I arrived. Now I know, beating on my chest, I know now I'm a part of the fold, and like you say, came in out of the rain, right? But as I got older and aging throughout the years, I'm like, man, it's harder and harder to conquer myself. You know what I mean?
When in talking about past President General Ollie Smith, I said he's quite possibly the most decorated Mason in North America. Ollie Smith is the epitome of a traveling man.
Right.
I mean, he has traveled to country after country after country as a Mason and in the spreading Masonic fellowship. You find a lot of the jurisdictions, Grand Lodges, whatever, all of us call ourselves traveling men.
Right.
But some will go from Texas to New Orleans, from Houston to New Orleans, from Houston to Dallas, and we call ourselves traveling men.
Mhm.
Okay. And if you're going to be a Mason, a real Mason, you need to spread your wings. You need to get out, get out of the country, get out of your comfort space, and really fellowship with others. Because the more you fellowship with different Masons, the more you learn and the more you teach. How you doing? Good morning, sir.
Good morning, brother.
Morning.
Okay, look like we got a working man on here.
Can't hear you, brother.
Gotta do your mic.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
This is Slaver Man. I don't think it's working anymore.
I got you. He's from Pittsburgh. Obviously, he's fell in love with U of H, University of Houston or something. He got all this red and white on.
My niece just she's going to it this semester.
Going to U of H?
Yes, sir.
Okay, outstanding. That's Brother Moore Walker. That's Brother Walker, and he has a janitorial service. So
Good morning, Brother Walker.
he walks and
Morning.
talks.
Good morning.
Okay. But anyway, past President Ollie Spencer is, I hope one day you all get to meet him in person, okay?
Right.
Because you have to really you have to listen to him, okay? And he doesn't come across, he's just even keeled, okay? He's even keeled. If he's gonna talk bad about you to you, he gonna do that on an even keel too, okay? You almost walk away saying, did he just talk about me? Did he just, criticize
Did
me?
insult me?
Because it's all on the same level. Okay. He don't get all excited and all that kind of good stuff.
Oh man.
But heck of a guy. And so anybody else have anything or thoughts on what Brother Spencer, Ollie Spencer had to
I think
say?
he also emphasized on the unity of the lack of unity in the brotherhood. I feel like he was a little bit heartbroken to see the new era of social media and the generation of Masons and fighting each other online and stuff like that. And he emphasized on going back to what this is all about, which is stronger unity.
Yeah. Strong identity and tolerance. And that, I think tolerance is a
Big word,
good
yeah.
word. We don't have too much tolerance even in our religious communities. Catholics for Baptists, Baptists for Methodists, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We just need to understand. I think Mother Teresa said the thing that we don't haven't grasped is that we all belong to one another. And if you go back to what Ollie Spencer was saying, the first man was in the African region.
Definitely.
So it doesn't matter what color you are.
Mhm.
Okay, that's your descendants. So, but Masonry has never gotten political and all that kind of good stuff. And actually, a lot of times you might meet a Mason of a different race, okay, or ethnic group, and you all communicate, fellowship just fine. But then when you look at going to their jurisdictional meeting or whatever the case may be, that's not going to happen. In fact, we have that right with the AF and AM and the Prince Hall Masons. A lot of
Right.
Prince Hall Masons will affiliate or fellowship with you on a personal basis, but then you can't fellowship with them in their jurisdiction, which is sad.
Definitely.
But that's okay, because with the onset and with you younger guys coming in, you're gonna change that. You will, because it just makes sense. If you broke down on the side of the road and you give a distress sign and I stop to help you, are you gonna ask me if I'm 3-letter, 4-letter, Prince Hall,
Listen,
John G. Jones, primitive right? Okay, do you care?
No.
listen, brother, we had my lodge brother, we had a cookout and we're selling dinners, right? And in the neighborhood that we're located, a brother came and he was a Mason, hat on his shirt, but he was international,
Okay.
my affiliation, I'm PHA. So one of my brothers, one of my older brothers said, "Hey man, you international?" My brother said, "I'm a Mason," and bought a dinner and left. You know what I'm saying? Just like that. And that stood out to me. That stood out to me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
That really stood out to me. That brother said, I'm a Mason. And he said it just like that. If you break down on the side of the road, you're not gonna care if I'm an international or not.
that's right. My brother has a good way of saying it, because back years ago, everyone would ask, "Are you 3-letter, 4-letter?" And he
Right.
would say, "I'm 5-letter." And then they'd look at him kind of crazy and he'd say, MASON.
I know that's right.
That's nice.
That's it. I mean, we don't have to go there. Either you want to associate and fellowship with me or you don't.
Right.
But that has nothing to do with this other stuff. Then I guess we looked at a video with Sister Basemore, and she's deceased now, but she has a long history. Her family has a long history. And in fact, her family helped to start our Supreme, which is meeting right now in Cleveland. And yes, I'm supposed to be there. Okay, but I had to bow out, or chose to bow out because of some family illness. Not me, but my daughter. And just didn't want to be that far out of pocket. But her heritage with her parents and grandparents and so forth, she really kind of it showed us and told us how people were into this thing, how loyal they were to the order, and loyalty is not seasonal. I think Gabe has your grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
He found out his grandfather was a Mason, and that kind of explained why he did so much in the community, or even internationally, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So and that leads it to that last video we saw, the legacy concept. But now we can go to Brother Allen that you were talking about more.
Oh yeah, that brother right there, man. Like, I love talking to my elders, man, like, and listening to my elders tell the story, because I'm a reader, and I love history, subjects on history and things like that. And then I'm like, we got living history right now in our midst that the younger people don't take advantage of, because these people, like for instance, my grandmother, things that me and my grandmother was close. Man, we were very close. She raised me, right? And there were things that she would talk to me about that my other cousins and my brother and sister never knew. You know what I mean? So that big, like alone there, just being raised up under her, I love listening to older people when they have something to say, whether it be personal or in business, and listening to that video, man, like even now, you know what I'm saying? It's like something's going through me now, just listening to that brother, man. And then, like I said, his demeanor, and as he was explaining masonry and talking about England and how they practice masonry and things of that nature, man, that's history. 63 years.
Yeah, yeah,
63 years, man. She's been traveling 63 years.
yeah. And he
That's
traveled.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
and he traveled.
listen, like you say, going from Houston to New Orleans, and in my case, I haven't been that far yet. Call myself a traveling man. I'm just going up the street to another city. You know what I mean? So I'm just going up the street, man. That right there alone, like, man, I got to get on my square. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I tell you what,
It's a start.
what
It's a
did
start.
you say it again?
It's a start,
Parker?
it's a
It's a-
start going up.
It is.
Going up the street, because I was on a cruise to Cozumel, Mexico, and I ran into a brother Mason, and he was from
Wow.
Baltimore, and he was white too, and we instantly clicked. We sat on the deck, I was up there smoking my cigarette, and he was telling about some other stuff, and he said, I try to make sure I treat everyone properly, but if it comes down to a brother, I'll help them first, he was breaking down.
Definitely.
He gave me his business card and
Any
everything.
brother.
You never know where you're gonna meet a man, and again, if you are true to your craft, you should always be able to find a friend. I remember a movie I watched which was really kind of the epitome of Masonic travels. It's called The Man Who Would Be King.
I want to see that.
It is an old movie, but that's the title of it, The Man Who Would Be King. And it starts off and it gives you a lot of wisdom or examples of traveling as a Mason. Okay, so good and bad. Now, obviously in some of these movies, they take Masons and put Masonic information in it or a Masonic twist on the evil side, but hey, every sect, SECT, has its bad side.
Of course.
So any other comments on past Grandmaster Allen?
Yeah. So yeah, just like Brother Moore said, he not only that he was extremely charismatic, but you could feel the passion, like the way I feel like he was manufactured on this planet to be a Mason. You know what I mean? Like the guy is just,
Okay.
he is really living and breathing, Masonry. And, two things that I took away from that intervention was, number one, his level of impact especially in the Midwest, community wise. I mean, countless hundreds of lives have been changed because of his activism and community
Yes,
development, which is a message to us. Like now we got even way more tools and resources, from far to make a change, right? And second of all, he said, we always got to keep learning. We need to love education and love, empowering ourselves,
Right.
and remain close to the community as a positive force. So those are the two takeaways that kind of shook me a little bit. And yeah, I add that to my my notebook. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because the typical person will learn a certain amount or proficient or a good amount of information, and then he want to show what he knows. He doesn't remain teachable. And we should always be teachable because we can learn from young, we can learn from old, we learn from our peers also. So there's always more to learn. That's why I always say there's no such, anxiety and depression should not be in our life. We should not know what those words mean because there's always something to do.
Yep.
And we can always do more. And if we're doing, okay, we don't have time for anxiety or depression. Because to me, now, you guys have pieces of paper and all degrees and all that kind of good stuff. To me, anxiety and depression comes on when you're not focusing in on your future, on where you're going.
Right.
It stops you in your tracks. You know, you're depressed because you don't see a way out or whatever. Anxiety, it seems like everything's coming on you. Well, yeah, Bible says you got to shake the dust off. Keep moving.
Yeah, I mean, some people tend to embrace too much at the same time, and you get overwhelmed and lack of vision, you start drowning, and it affects you. So, yeah.
That's why when I talk to a man coming into the Masonic order, I want to know where you want to be in 5 years. What is it you want to accomplish in 5 years? If you don't have a goal, I don't need you around me.
Listen, to elaborate on what Brother Gabe's saying, taking on too much and we get overwhelmed sometimes. But I hear you say all the time too, brother, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Exactly.
So if you take it from that perspective, when you get overwhelmed and whatnot, then these things don't seem like problems anymore, or things that they just challenges that you can overcome. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And everybody has them. You know what I'm saying? When they were constructing temples, you don't think that they had challenges trying to figure out where to lay the stones for the pyramids and things like that. But the mind and the ingenuity of the human race, we can overcome those challenges.
Right?
It's called the process of elimination.
Yep.
Many decades ago, I worked for Southwestern Bell, and I was in PBX repair and that. Okay, you guys don't know what a PBX is. a PBX is a big telephone system that goes into an office building for a specific company.
I know what it is, bro.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, because I did cable and we got into phone years later. So that's part of the POTS, the old POTS system.
Yeah, see, there you go. It's old. So, but the bottom line is when they had a problem, you did a process of elimination.
Yeah.
And the same thing holds true with our goals and aspirations. You break it up and eliminate it, and you're constantly getting to where you're supposed to be.
Right.
But as Brother Gabe said, if you just look at the whole problem and don't dissect it, it can be overwhelming. So that's something that has to be done. Okay. Moving to the 2019, November 13th video, year in, year begin. This is something that I have always done, have done for a long, long time. Every year, I want to sit down and look at what I did, look at what I want to do, look at what I should not have done, and look at what I should have done. just do a complete evaluation of the year. And if you're gonna run a business, you definitely have to do an audit. Is that what it's called?
Yes.
Okay. And so I started off by saying that we had to let your head, let's get your head back in the game. In other words, to reflect on 2019 and develop a plan for 2020. Now, I always like to say, if we want to go from where we are right now to California, okay? We know California is our goal, right?
Right.
Okay, so what's the first thing, what's the next thing that we have to identify?
We plan to get there.
Wrong,
Gotta get a ticket.
wrong,
The route we're gonna take.
wrong.
Where we are?
Right.
Okay.
You gotta have a starting point,
Right.
okay? Mo is in Florida. Gabe right now is in Dubai. Mays, you're here in Houston. Walker is in Richmond, or who knows where he is. Searles is in New Orleans. We gotta figure, I'm in Houston. We gotta figure out where we are. Then we can map our route,
Right.
okay? So you gotta break things down to its simplest form. Because somebody might have to travel, somebody can take a bus, who knows? You know, it just depends on where you are and where you want to go. So moving into a new year requires a new attitude, okay? And I said, every shake and move, evaluate his or her performance to recognize and adjust themselves yearly. And I did this video in November to give those that would hear a head start on that process. Because how many years and how many times have we gotten to January 1st and then we develop or talk about our New Year resolutions,
Right.
okay? And what is a New Year resolution?
It's a buzzword for people now. You know what I mean? It's a buzzword, and I think that from your video, the best way to, I mean, personally, because I was one of those guys, right? Every January I had a new, I was like, okay, this year I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that and I'm going to do this. And come October, I haven't done anything,
Right.
right? So my approach has been to dissect it into monthly checkpoints.
Okay.
It's like when you drive from Houston to California, you're gonna stop every now and then to get some gas, to get to the restrooms, maybe to get some sleep, to get some
Right.
snacks. It's the same approach when you're working on self introspection or project or self development. I think that 30-day mark of introspection allows you to be, not only that you keep yourself accountable a little more, but you're more in touch with where you're heading, because when it's like, oh, I have until December to do this, it's like, oh, I got time and I got time and I got time. So from the video, adding that strong spiritual foundation allows you to now have the wisdom and the clarity now to perfect that monthly, checkpoint. Because on the video you've mentioned Jeremiah 19:9, and it's all about building that vision for the long term and focus and talking about thinking with the head, not with the heart.
Right.
So sometimes you got to be hard on yourself.
That's
You
hard
got
to
be.
do.
It's hard to do. You got to look at yourself in the mirror and accept who you are and tell yourself the truth, because nobody will.
You remind me, Gabe, in 94,
Mhm.
I went to work for this cemetery,
Mhm.
selling cemetery spaces, headstones,
Wow.
and burial plans.
I would like to listen to one of your sales pitch on that one day.
Oh, well, when you come back to Houston, I'll take you out with me. But my first check was $15,
Mm.
and they paid every 2 weeks. So I had to hold a conversation with myself.
Mhm.
I tell people I fired me.
Of
I
course.
took me outside and I talked to me about me
Yep.
or about me to me. Okay. And that was not a nice conversation.
Yep.
I was called some bad names. I was talked down to. And I was told explicitly that I needed to get up off my, and you know, I had problems. And
Yeah.
if I'm not gonna do this, then take my on and go do something else. The next check was $35.
Mm.
2 weeks later. This is in 1994. And I'm going, okay, now I'm really pissed off at this point, right? But then I looked and the spirit hit me and said, okay, 2 weeks, you're more than double your money.
True.
All you got to do, son, is take your butt to work. Just go to work. Go to work. And that's what I did. When I went to that company, if a person made 5 sales in a month, they were celebrated. In 1996, I made as many as 42 sales in 1 month.
Wow.
So I just went to work. They criticized me, said people didn't have that kind of money, and people were struggling and so forth. I'm going, I don't know who you talking to, because the people I'm talking to have money, they buy. You must be lying to those people. Hey, I'm selling them and they're staying on the books and they're paying. I don't know what you're looking for. But the other salesmen up there and started selling 10, 15, and 20 sales because they realized it could be done. But I had a need. I had a son that was going off to college. And I told him, don't worry about it, I'll pay for it. So I had to get up and get it.
Mm.
No time for anxieties. No time to worry about the economy.
Right.
Okay. And so we just,
Yeah.
as I said, I went to work. And that was the thing. I knew what I wanted to get accomplished. Okay. Back then. And so I looked at what I had to work with, and then I mapped out my route. There were a lot of, and I asked you about your friend that started his business. There were a lot of 4 and 5 hour a night sleeps
Right.
because I was working my business. So I didn't sleep much. And that's one of the things we tell you when you come into the Masonic order. To say little, hear much, sleep little. Okay, do much.
I'm on
Okay.
4 hours of sleep, 4 hours
Yes,
of sleep a day.
But again, if you do it while you're young,
You take care of your older self.
Let's,
when you get older,
And
you'll be
another
all
thing-
right. Brother Al Brothers, how you doing?
Oh,
Brother
pretty good, sir.
Brothers.
How you been doing this morning?
all right, brother, brothers.
Excellent.
So why do you exist? Why are you here? Okay. Brother Gabe, a little bit about your grandfather. What did he leave behind?
Thanks.
So, okay. All right. So let's start at the beginning. he was born in early 1900s, right? So like between 1902 and 1909, because at that time they had no birth certificate. So, they were looking at your height and they were giving you your age, right? It was
Okay.
yeah, it was the villages, in Africa. And so he came from a family of farmers and um no education, and basically like learn everything by himself. Made a way to the city at the age 16, 15, and he was working as a um as a maid for the pre-colonial people from France and Germany and things like that. And then they had some like basic training in civil service, and he made his way up to different, government positions. um 60, 70 years later, he had a bunch of kids, I think eight, nine children, over 30 grandchildren. um Became advisor to the president, ambassador of Cameroon in the United States. um you know Build real estate everywhere, Paris, US, everywhere, right? Africa. But it's not that. What he left behind was the fact that he took care of so many people in the community. Like, I remember one of the first hospitals was built by him. One of the first research for um, sickle cell in Cameroon was financed by his network and his initiatives. He fought for women to have the right to um, the first woman to vote and to work in Cameroon. Like, so the legacy was beyond just him, his wife, and his kids. And one thing that he always shared was integrity, humility, and love. That was his principles: integrity, humility, and love. So integrity in the way you work, love in where you work, what you do. And so the legacy that he left, from him, what I take away is it doesn't matter where you start. You could have been like, oh, I'm from I don't speak French, I don't speak English, I don't speak German, I'm from the village. He could have been like, I don't have an education, but he went to work. He started as a maid. He went to work. And he never, well, like, okay, I made it, and never had ego. It was like, how can I take the next guy? How can I pick the next guy up? So it's funny how sometimes I go back home and like you get free favors. You might go to a coffee shop and you get free coffee because, oh, just because of your last name, because they remember of what somebody did for their grandfather 50 years ago.
Right.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So that's what legacy is. It's like your work can impact beyond generation in a positive light, you know. Um, and I try my best to, that's why I joined the order, just follow every principles that he was close to in order to try to build myself and build my community.
Well, you see, when we start talking about auditing your life at the end of the year or in the middle of the year, because again, this was done in November, and I was trying to give everyone a head start about thinking that line of thinking. We ask, what did you come here to do? That's a good question. That's a question that Masons ask. What came you here to do? So what came you here to do on earth with your life at this point in time? Why are you here? If you haven't ever thought about that, then you should give that some thought. Why are you here? What are you supposed to do? When we hear about Gabe's grandfather, who would have looked at him and said, this is what you're here to do? And of course, once you start asking that question, of course, you got to ask it from someone, ask it of someone that can give you an answer. So therein lies the secret, because you ask God, what are you here to do? What's your purpose? What's your mission? And then you can lay out your plan. So you hear,
I'd say you pray about it.
okay, absolutely. But what are you supposed to do in the next 5 years? How are you going to get that done? You know, I can tell you I'd love to have one. I saw a Mercedes EQ 450 plus on the highway. I didn't even know anything about that. And I'm going, whoa, that looks good. Okay. But is that my purpose? I could want it all day long, but what good does it serve? And then the
Right.
other thing too is, if you really want to know, if you really want to have the power behind you, then you have to identify what good your goal will serve. How is it going to serve other men? I was thinking this morning, if this is you and you have people that have accomplished more than you, people that have accomplished less than you, people on your same level, how can you communicate, fellowship with these different levels and bring some benefit, be of added benefit to them? Because that's what we're supposed to do, is seek to be added benefit to whomever we encounter. Okay, let me back up. Mother Teresa said we don't realize we all belong to one another. So if we belong to one another, if we're part of each other, we should seek to be of added benefit to our brother, right?
Right.
So whatever it is you want to do in the next 5 years, how will that benefit those that you come in contact with? Other than the fact that if George Mays gets his pilot license, gets his private plane,
Yeah.
he's charging charter flights and making money hand over fist. Okay.
He's picking me up in Dubai.
See,
I got you, brother. I got you.
but see, he's thinking dollars and cents. Oh yeah, I'll get you from Dubai. But how
Oh,
does
man.
that benefit his fellow man?
Right.
Now, now, one thing I want to say about the Masonic Order, because you hear a lot of people talk about charity and what we do in the community and all that kind of good stuff. And that's great. However, everything is by process. There's a point in time when you go outside of the order to the community. So step one, we have to figure out if we're going to evaluate our year end, if we're going to take an audit on what we've done and hopefully decide what we want to do, we have to figure out where we are. We have to make sure that we get ourselves straight first before we start trying to go out here to the community.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yes,
Makes a
sir.
lot of sense.
Yeah, you have to take a self-evaluation if you want to be realistic in achieving your goals, because that's how you use it basically for a measuring stick. And so you need to do that, I say quarterly, just to make sure that you're staying on track.
Okay. Because imagine you have a pastor of a
Uh-huh,
church
right.
who's teaching the word and he's a good teacher. You're learning a lot. But then tonight is Saturday and you go out and you see him staggering drunk.
Right.
Or he's married, but he got 2 young hoochie mamas on his arm. Okay. Come on, man. That's not kosher.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh,
I mean, that question is one of the, I wake up every day thinking about it, every single day. And I think that based on, you know, my journey and the learning and the things that I'm continuing to learn is like, um, we need to really, all of us have the mindset of service. We need to be able to serve and lead. In order for you to lead, you need to serve first, right? You need to be able to be a great servant. And leadership is not a title. It's not, it's an example. It's reaching out. It's empowerment. Leadership is being empowering our community some way, some shape or form. But the best way to do it naturally is to tap into our own resources and talents. You know what I mean? Like it's hard for me to try to be, brother brothers. He has a gift, in his craft that as much as I want to be him, I just gotta call him like, how do we do this? How do we build this property? How do we do this? Right.
Right.
So I think that it starts with, we were created with gifts and talents that we never use. And if we transfer those in service to empower our community, I think that makes our role in the body of the brotherhood more powerful, because now we got all the pieces of the puzzle, and we are interdependent, and now everything is efficient and working well. This is just my
But
my
don't you
opinion.
have to identify your piece,
Correct.
the piece you are?
Your gift, your talent. Yeah.
And you're so right. You don't want to be somebody else, but every one of us have been given a gift
Yep.
and a talent. And that piece will fit, is designed to fit properly
Yes, sir.
into the creating. If you're thinking about building a wall, we are all a piece of that, or a brick going in that wall. So we have to develop ourselves so that we fit snugly into that wall and make it solid. That means we got to get rid of some errors in our thinking,
All right.
in our habits, in our lives, because again, you're looking for me to be smooth and fit into this place to create this solid wall. I can't be out there drunk, staggering. I'm married and I'm carousing with other women, or whatever the case may be. That means I'm not fit to be put in that wall, in that spot where I'm supposed to be. So we do have to figure out where we're starting from. And of course, that provides a clue. Because when you're honest with yourself, and we already agreed that's very hard to do, to be honest with ourselves, that means we have to recognize our shortcomings. I like to tell y'all, I make one mistake a month, okay? And if you buy that, I got some property to sell you. out in the South Pacific, okay? But we just don't want to do that. It's difficult to do. And in most cases, if you tell me where I'm wrong and how I'm in error and so forth, I want to get upset.
Mhm.
So you got to be able to accept constructive criticism.
Yes, sir. And make the adjustment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Jeremiah 17:10 tells us that the Lord searches the heart and tests the mind. The mind is the key. And so you got to be very honest. The mind is also the battleground, battlefield. So you got to be you got to be a tough brother to be able to search your own mind. We must recognize and adjust, recognize our mental weaknesses and shortcomings, then make adjustments in our thinking. Now, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, don't ask me anything if you don't want the truth. And if you get mad at me, oh, well, you have a right to get mad.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Should brothers keep brothers accountable?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's
And
your
you-
responsibility.
And you're gonna be given a process by which to handle that. And it's all biblical. Basically, if I'm wrong, you pull me aside and you talk to me, and I'm supposed to be with the love between us. I should
Brothers
listen.
keeper.
I should listen. And if you justifiably so, if you're correct, I should make an adjustment. If I don't, then you take it to the next step. And
Because
then
I've seen, yeah, I've seen it cause a lot of issues in masonry. You know, and I guess the approach is, yeah. Anyway, we talk about it.
it's ego.
With ego, yeah.
It's ego. And everything, there is nothing, King Solomon said it best. There's nothing new under the sun. So when you're coming into the Masonic order, you're going to be shown that there's nothing you have to figure out. It's all there. How to handle every possible situation. It's all in the Masonic order, and it tells you how to handle it. And I always say, whatever you run into, okay. Robert Searle says he's sorry he can't really participate. I know he's probably foaming at the mouth, wanting to say something on these topics. Okay, he just sent a chat. He said, "I'm sorry I was not able to participate today. The discussion was awesome as usual. I'm headed. He's going to a funeral." But so anyway, what you want to do is
Yeah, he foaming at the mouth.
you want to follow the procedures, and no man should get upset when you try and correct it. Okay.
Yeah. Come in.
Okay. Romans 12:2 says, "Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind." This is all you're doing when you take that audit, mid-year, end of year, beginning of the year. But whenever you do it, you should write it down. You should write down whatever it is you come up with, okay? The joy of life is having something to do, someone to do it with, and someone to do it for. Hello. Any comments?
Yes, I had a comment on what we were talking about earlier. I think it's very important, as you were saying, that not only do we find our why and so we can focus, but while we're doing our self-evaluations, you had mentioned that we need to really be truthful with ourselves. And that really is a hard thing to do. What we have to do is line up what we're doing and make sure that it's lining up with the standards and not going by emotion. And the reason I say that is because, you know, the heart and your emotions and everything can deceive you. And we don't want to be deceived by, not even by ourselves. And so we have to go with what we know to be true. And that is the word, the ritual, the standard. And so while we're doing our self-evaluation, you know, we have to, like you said, it's hard to be just blatantly honest about ourselves and recognize our shortcomings. And so what we need to do is compare ourselves to the standard and get as close to that as possible.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You know, and this is where I recommend, and I gave a lot of information about what I call a quiet time. spending some time with yourself.
Yeah.
When you look at Brother Gabe right now with the headphones on, okay, and now they got these little cute iPods or earpods or whatever they call them. I see people with those and I'm wondering, what are you listening to? Is it constructive? Is it beneficial to your life? It's an excellent tool to learn a foreign language, to improve yourself or whatever the case may be. And then the question is, when do you be alone with yourself?
Yeah.
Do you think most people are scared to be alone with themselves?
Yeah.
Why?
I think that we're so independent to a certain point that people feel they need other people to entertain them and to give them fulfillment. And that's because they haven't found true fulfillment, true entertainment. And that's because they're looking in the wrong places. And until they look in the right place, they'll never be fulfilled. They'll always be in want.
Where's the right place?
The lodge, the church, a place
Huh?
where you get good and wholesome instruction for your neighbors.
And brother, I would say, you know, I mean, you would start with God, you got, like you said, you got people with headphones on, like what are you listening to? I'm listening to like Denzel Washington, Steve Harvey, when I was in situations when I was, homeless, I was walking in the rain where nowhere to go. I put on like, Elon Musk and how he slept on the couch in his office and stuff like that. Normally people see kind of like what you got now and be like, oh, well, you got it made. It's like, it's a journey. And one thing I do every morning, I read the Bible.
Right.
I read my ritual. I read my Judas Mackey book.
Yeah,
I read all that in
yeah.
I read all that in the process. Now my fiance, she'll get ticked off because I light my burnt offerings. I like my frankincense in every room. Everybody say, hey, you want to catch your house on fire? I feel like, hey, look, it's the least I can do for God blessing me with the house at all. I mean, it's COVID.
Now, okay, real quickly here. You said you were homeless and all that kind of good stuff.
Yes. So
Okay, and that was, how old are you?
33.
He had to think about it.
No, I just turned 33 in June, so I was like, I
Okay.
normally like 36. But when I'm on the street, I'm like 25, brother.
See, there we go.
I just figure some people put like, I like Facebook, I like social media like the next person, but some people put that as a topic of their day. Okay, well, hey, I got a good job. I can get a whole bunch of likes and a whole bunch of status. Like you shouldn't need to go to another person unless you're a Mason. If you need help, go to a brother. I recommend it, but you shouldn't have to go to another person for validation. You should go to God for validation. Like I wake up in the day, I pray first. If it goes good, it goes. I've been through some storms. I mean, my grandfather was a Mason too. I just found out like a couple months ago, that my dad was telling me he had a sword and all this stuff, and I was wondering where he was going, and he was going to meetings. But like I try to make sure like what I'm listening to can give me some positive insight on life. Like I got a 5-year plan, and even like the legacies you guys were talking about, because I was in there cleaning. I mean, I literally did something where I went to Starbucks. I mean, I know it's something small, and I bought the person behind me coffee. And when I came back the next morning, the lady said, I don't know, you must be good luck. I said, why you say that? Because she said the whole 3 hours after you left, every person bought the next person paid their order, But
That's awesome.
but it starts with something. It starts with something that small,
Yeah.
I said, you know what? I said, I'm gonna get the person behind me, and then I guess they were like, hey, I'm gonna get the person behind me too, and then But I'm wondering if someone doesn't take that little step, would that even start the process? You know what I mean? There's so much negative out here. It's like, that's kind of like the new trend. That's why I kind of I veer off of social media here and there, you know. But I don't know.
Well,
I feel
now,
like we should.
okay, and so you have a janitorial business,
Yes, sir.
okay, and with about how many accounts? I'm just
I got 12 now.
12
Where you
accounts.
located? Where you located, brother?
I'm I'm South
Houston.
Houston, Southwest side. I got contracts all over Houston.
So,
Oh,
so the
congrats.
bottom line, how did you? We're talking about year in, year begin, and knowing where you're going and starting.
Well,
What
as far as
prompted you to
well,
go ahead?
for well, once it was, you know, being raised, when we were at the farm with the horse.
Oh, okay.
Okay, it's not even the farm. So
You
you tell I
wasn't
ain't-
you initiated.
Initiated there.
yeah, initiated. Okay, and I wrote it down. I put the vision down. And one thing I like to do is I like to say, hey, brother Al or brother Weir, hey, I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing this. So like you said, hold someone accountable. So when I talk to like my dad or my fiance, they're like, hey, I thought you were going to be doing this, and I'm looking like, well, dad, I don't want to look like I'm lying. So you know, or that's not even that. It puts me back on track. You know,
For
because I
sure.
used to tell people 2 years ago, hey, I'm gonna start a cleaning business. And they'll say, hey man, you've been saying that for when you was been supposed to start a cleaning business, but at the same time, I ain't really looking at it like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go off at the mouth with you. I said, you know what? You put me right on track on what I need to do, you know? But now I got a cleaning business.
Oh, so good. That's a beautiful story.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to, and that quiet time really gives you time to reflect upon you and so forth, which reminds me when I went to Dallas, came to Dallas for the funeral service.
Mhm.
Dallas is like 4.5 hours from Houston. Not a problem whatsoever for me to ride that far with no radio, no CD, DVD, no nothing.
I'm like that too.
I call it windshield time. I can solve my problems, okay? Sitting behind that steering wheel, driving. And in fact, one brother, we drove 2-3 hours, might have been wherever we were going. He got back and told everybody I had a nice truck, brand new truck, but he didn't think my radio worked. You know, now in my home, in the living room, I have this big wall that I'm gonna put a fireplace on there, but no TV. And people keep coming in, man, when you gonna put your TV up? I'm not. That room is, if we in that room, we gonna talk.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna hold a conversation. So now if you want to watch TV, you go to the family room. But people want to have TV in every room. And I've known folks to have 2 or 3 of them on at the same time. So again, when do you get quiet time? When are you with yourself? So that was our year in and year began. And then I came back in December and said year begin, year end. Flip the titles. I said the first thing any of us must do is to decide where we want to go, do, or what we want to have. The second thing is determine our starting point. The third thing is to map out our route of manifestation. How are we going to get it done? Bottom line. Those are the first 3 things. Now, if you want, and I think I said it earlier, if you want blessings on your plans, what should your goal include?
God, your fellow man.
benefits to the fellow man.
Yeah.
You know, I think Gabe hinted at his grandfather did not just work for himself and his family, but wanted to benefit others. And that's, I submit to you, that's what we're here for, is for the benefit of others, outside of our sphere of influence, outside of our household.
I think that's also another, that's truly being rich, you know. You can have money and possessions, but if you can lift everybody else, how much more so is that, you know, beneficial? And that's just the attitude that we have to get out of the selfish, that Babylonian, you know, mode of greed, you know, me, myself, and I. And like you say, focus on the bigger picture, which is I'm a piece of this wall. Not I'm the wall, because I'm not the wall. It's not all about me, but I am a brick in this wall. There's some other bricks around me.
Yeah.
And if we don't get it together and be on one accord, see the joy, then we all doomed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the bigger picture.
You know, I always tell myself one great exercise we should all do is to write our keynote speech, our own funeral service.
Mm.
What would you write about yourself and say about yourself if you had an opportunity to speak one last time?
Man, I just saw a movie last week. I was up here watching TV, and the guy said he had this young lady come over and write his eulogy.
Yeah, eulogy, yeah.
And he told the guy that he was talking to, he says, you need to have that done.
For sure.
It's enlightening. He said,
It's-
everything that you do boils down to that eulogy.
15 minutes.
And I've heard it put another way is you're born in I was born in 1950. Then you have dash. And then the day I die. Well, everything that I did is included in that dash. So what does that dash represent? That's and it gets me when people say, man, I don't want all that stuff, just cremate me, burn me.
Mm.
I say, well, they pick you up, you die, they pick you up, take and cremate you and give the ashes to your family. Down and dirty is what I call it. But if you've lived for 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years, what does your life represent?
Right.
And if you never sit down and take evaluation of what you've done, shouldn't have done, wanted to do, didn't want to do, well, if you never evaluate it, then never pull that audit, then what will it represent? So in order to do any of that stuff, you got to learn something, you got to read. And that's a big problem with a lot of folks. I had a guy tell me he would love to have my books if they were on audio.
Yeah. Can I make a comment about that, Dash?
Yeah.
As you were saying earlier, 1950 to, you know, whenever it is that we go, and it's going to be the same for all of us. And so we're all grown men now. You was talking about this earlier in one of your videos, but we have to recognize that we only have a set amount of time left, and that our time here on this planet is very short indeed. And so I'm pretty sure most of us are over the halfway point, if not a little further on down the line. And so we need to be focused and intentional in everything that we're doing, especially at this point in time, because like you said, we only have such a little bit of time. And we think about God, who's eternal and who's immortal, and that immortal spark that is within us, you know, but yet our lifespan is just, you know, a dash, you know, a flash at that. But within that flash lies a divine spark, the divine spark that comes from the maker, the creator of us all. And so we need to keep in concept that while we're here, we need to be more focused on the immortal and the eternal things and not these earthly temporal gains, which is just going to do us no good anyway. That, you know, when we leave here, they're here. You know, so
And in order to do all of that, and this is what these videos are about in summary, it's about us obtaining and maintaining control of our vessel. Because we do have things coming at us left and right. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, the mind only entertains one thought at a time, but you have so many thousands of thoughts coming across your mind. Okay, and coming at you. So you got to obtain and maintain control of your vessel. You know, if you don't have control, then you're going to get a lot of garbage dumped into your lap and life. And so, you know, the things that they talk about in Galatians, strife, jealousy, fits of anger, rivalry, immorality, envy, we have to try and we have to ignore those. We can't allow those in our life, you know. So you got to have control of you. And that's part of the quest with masonry, is to come in and improve yourself. I heard many years ago, a person can't get your goat if they don't know where it's tied up.
Listen, I love to hear you say that, brother. I put that in my notepad.
Yeah.
I was watching the Flintstones the other day, and they were having
Somebody got somebody goat.
No. They had just had a large meeting. Then they were going after. They were having an event like on the lake, and so Fred had rented a boat. The boat was running late, and the Grand Poobah kind of got mad, and because everybody was getting kind of out of line. And he said, "Hey, the first thing we must maintain is ourselves." And that's what we say. You have to maintain that vessel, man. You got to stay in control.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Listen,
sir.
art imitates life, man, and that cartoon alone, man, was dropping jewels on us when we were kids and didn't know it.
Yeah.
Indeed it was.
Yeah,
Yes,
they
sir.
don't have cartoons like that anymore.
Yeah.
But you come into the Masonic order to improve yourself in masonry, is what it says, but in essence in life, because in your travels as a Mason, you're taught, you're requested, you're guided and assisted in removing from your life what you don't want. Now, Zig Ziglar calls that the principle of vacuum. You get rid of what you don't want to make room for what you do want. Go to your closet, pull out all the clothes that you haven't worn in a year, all those too small, out of style, okay? And give them away, throw them away, whatever the case may be. Your closet goes from this to this. But within a year, you're going to be back with a full closet. But as long as you have those outdated, undesirable pieces of clothing, you think you're all right. So the principle of vacuum is to get rid of what you don't want, to make room for what you do want. And that doesn't only apply to clothing or material things, it applies to people and relationships too.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will go even further and say, get rid of things you don't need. Because we want a lot of things, but do we actually need them? You know what I mean? My wife, sometimes we argue over stuff like, do you need all these do-rags? You know what I'm saying? Like, you have no hair, right? Like, do you need
I can't even picture you in a do-rag.
Because I was living in the past. You know what I mean? So I lost hair, right? So it's like, do you need that? Like you trying to lose weight? Do you need to keep on drinking this Coca-Cola, right? Like, so it's good to come to terms with things that we don't actually need and focus on the vision, because we always want to say, oh, I want this, and I think I want that.
Yeah.
But when it's like you don't need it, this is where you have no choice but get rid of it.
Yeah. I know my father, he used to have a saying, and that was, blessed are those who expect nothing, for they should
Mhm.
not be disappointed. So number one, you gotta expect something. You gotta
For
expect
sure.
something.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah.
That's a good
Yeah.
Number
saying.
two, if you don't plan, then you plan to fail.
For
It's
sure.
as simple as that.
For sure.
Absolutely. Okay. How do you improve yourself, fellas?
First of all, take a good look at yourself, and then go to work.
Well, in the video, I think I said you must obtain the principles and precepts of growth, interpret and maintain an understanding of such, then seek opportunities to apply the knowledge so that it becomes embedded in your spirit. I guess all of you look fairly athletic. Play basketball,
Play football,
football.
and baseball, and I used to box.
Okay. Did you ever get to what they call in your zone?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Stay in the zone.
You get in your zone and it's just you can do no wrong.
Yeah.
Everything just.
Momentum. Yeah.
But is that you, or is that the spirit in you working?
The spirit in
That's
you.
the spirit in you working.
That's that zone. And
Mamba mentality.
huh?
Mamba mentality. Kobe Bryant. Yeah.
Yeah. If we can ever get to the point where we are operating our lives from that zone, it's just that's where you're calling things into existence. No matter how you throw the ball up, it goes in the goal. You're able to avoid the tackle, it's just sweet. It's sweet. And that's where we want to be. So, however, a lot of times we let our wants stand in the way. So, I also talked about those attitudes toward God and social attitudes and so forth that come upon us. Patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. That's what we get. We need to try and own
Fruit of
them.
the spirit.
We got to own them.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Is that Galatians 5:22?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I might say something to you, rough, gruff, because I've been accused of being rough and gruff, so rude, crude, and sociably unacceptable. Okay. But before you get upset, you have to think about what was said and why it was said. I just had a guy come on to work with me as a salesman, and I told him, I said, let me explain something to you. When you sell something, I get $1 or $2. So everything I tell you is geared towards you being successful and accomplishing what it is you want to accomplish. So let's get that understanding. Whatever I'm telling you is geared towards you becoming successful in this industry. So if I say something and I'm rude, understand why I'm saying it. So another way to put it is, You eat the meat and throw away the bone.
Yeah.
Hold on a minute, boss lady. Yes, ma'am. Oh, good, I'm on a call. Bye, bye. Okay. Does that make sense, fellas? Eat the meat,
Yes, sir.
throw away the bone.
Sir.
Yeah, and we have to have thick skin, like I said, it's especially if, when we're dealing with individuals and if they're telling us something that's for, our embetterment, the truth is hard to take. And because people say the truth hurts, yeah, it does hurt because it exposes us. It exposes our shortcomings. It exposes our inadequacies. But while it's exposing them, it's also giving you a chance to see them for what they is. That way you can repair them. But if you don't never see it and recognize that there's a problem, you'll never even attempt to fix it because you won't recognize that it's there.
Well, in your business, I know that's it's a necessity and probably engaged too, being in IT. If he has a person that's handling this project or whatever the case may be, that person has to be open to instruction and correction.
Yeah.
And that's therein lies a problem for a lot of people. They're not willing to accept correction.
Yeah, it's like
Go ahead.
yeah, it's like when you go to the doctor and you got this back pain, you know what I mean? The chiropractor is here to crack your back, right? Like he's not here to give you a massage or give you some candy to swallow. So sometimes you gotta self-love leads to, if you truly love yourself and you want to fix your back, you're gonna listen to the doctor instructions on how to fix your back. And nobody want to go to the doctor's office. You know what I mean? Oh, I got this. I'm gonna pick something at CVS that's sweet and quick and I'm good. So, I think that it starts with self-love, which leads to self-mastery.
Okay. And so
So-
if you,
so what-
go ahead.
So what
Yeah.
you're saying is that if you truly love yourself, that you'll take the time to do the right things to better yourself, whether it's physically, spiritually, or mentally.
Everything, yeah. Because if
Okay.
you don't love yourself, you know what I mean? Or you don't love yourself enough.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
All right.
Absolutely. And if you're gonna, yeah, don't love yourself enough. To kick
Brother
your-
Gabe be dropping jewels, right?
to kick your own self in the derriere.
Exactly.
Now, that takes a real man.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That takes a real man. I was looking, okay, I don't have it on my desk. Yes, I do. Do a commercial here, fellas.
Mhm.
Masonic Maturity Through Scripture. Okay? This book is designed to help you look at yourself and compare yourself to the word of truth. And anytime you can be presented with principles and precepts to better yourself, you should be honest with yourself and see how you match up.
Yeah.
So I do say buy it, read it, study it, write a review, and then tell somebody about it. But I'll tell you what, I believe if you buy it, read it, and study it, then others are going to see a difference.
I believe so too.
And the same holds true with us looking at ourselves, because it will cause us to go inside to the true Herbert Ware or the true Gabe Kua or Al Brothers, George Mays, John Moore. Anytime you look at the true person, okay, because really the truth is coming out.
Mhm.
Right.
Now, it might not flood, but little bits and pieces. Again, going back to that pastor that's out there staggering drunk is gonna come out a little at a time. Okay? So we gotta get to the truth and correct the errors within us. You know, I guess, Al, you were talking about King David and he repented. Okay? So what's the difference between repenting and forgiving?
You said what's the difference between repentance and forgiving?
Yeah, forgiveness.
Hmm.
Repenting is,
Repentance,
Repenting,
you done already did.
repenting is you confessing your sins, confessing your mistakes,
and changing.
and choosing to change, choosing to adjust. Forgiving,
Okay.
forgiving is more so saying, hey, I accept, this apology. I accept your mistake, and I hope you don't do it again, but I accept it, and we're good to move on.
Okay. So day after tomorrow, I do it again.
Well, you know what?
Well,
That's what repentance. That's what we repent.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this.
Sorry you got caught, but that's it.
I'm gonna say this. Christ said, forgive 7 times 7. Because he's merciful, and we make mistakes, and he forgives us for our mistakes. As a human, as a man, you keep stealing from me, I'm gonna forgive you, but I'm gonna have to back off. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna be able to be around you too much longer. So, forgiveness is important. Now how you handle the situation or the issue after forgiveness is, utilizing wisdom. It's how you utilize your wisdom. But Christ did say we must forgive.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, forgiveness comes from the victim, and repentance comes from
Linda,
exactly right, like the person who at fault.
Right.
So the victim sets the terms of his forgiveness.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm gonna forgive you, but you're gonna pay me back twice my money. I'm gonna forgive you, but I don't want to talk to you again. I'm gonna forgive you, but I don't forget. I'm gonna forgive you. You know what I mean? Like, you're gonna set the terms of Christ set his own terms, right? He was like, he's merciful, and he set his terms. But I think human beings set their own terms depending on their belief system. And repentance is you on your knees, forgiving yourself first, and coming to the person you hurt and saying, please, 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 I acknowledge that I messed up, and I repeat exactly what I've done wrong, and look at you in the eyes. And my promise to you is I won't do it again.
Does the person that forgive ever need to repent?
Yes.
The victim needs to repent?
Yeah.
Victim, you say the victim needs to repent?
Yeah.
maybe for being an enabler.
There you go.
Okay.
Gabe, I've forgiven you. I've forgiven you. I've forgiven you, and I keep letting you come back into my house. Okay. And every time you come in my house, something walks out with you.
True.
Right.
Okay. I need to repent because the benefits, the blessings that God has given me, I keep allowing them to be deposited in bad soil.
For sure.
Mhm.
I keep allowing Gabe to come in and walk out with my stuff
Yeah.
that was given to me.
Crazy.
Okay. So I need to repent and tell him I'll meet him on the corner if we gonna talk. So, but the last video was the legacy concept. Grab it now. Okay. We have less time. Okay, I do. maybe Gabe might have equal time. The average lifespan of a man is around 74, 78 years old. So you divide that by 2. And once you get to that point, you're at the top of the mountain, brothers. So guess what? You start
What's that?
sliding down. So my butt is about to hit the valley. Okay. I'm so far down the other side of that mountain. Okay. But I'll say it, many of us have less time than yesterday. Okay. And we don't know how much time we have tomorrow. So whatever it is we were put here to do, what came you here to do? God will tell you, the Spirit will let you know where your talents lie, but you gotta develop a plan. You gotta be called, you gotta answer the call to elevate yourself so that you do leave something behind. Okay. I look around Houston at U of H Harfines, I'm saying Harfines Pavilion. That's where U of H played basketball. That was their basketball arena for decades. It's no longer Harfines Pavilion. The new guy came in and donated money and changed the whole name. Okay. The Harfines family built the Astrodome. Astrodome now doesn't do too much of anything. They got NRG Stadium. So where's the legacy? What is a legacy? What's the best kind of legacy you can leave?
Well, I guess it will be the wisdom and the morals in the life that you've lived. Letting that be an example to your progeny, so to ensure that they have a successful life and that they reach God, reach the heaven. So that's what it boils down to, is your soul. Because what would it profit you to gain the whole world and lose your soul? So that's what I would say would be the best legacy, to move one of character and more what we do here as Masons.
What's the best legacy there ever was?
Your name.
Your name.
What was the best legacy that has ever been left?
Oh, Jesus.
Exactly.
Empowering others, empowering your crew.
Exactly. Exactly. You two said it correctly. Empowering others. Jesus. We can accumulate souvenirs, and souvenirs will say where we've been. We can get trophies. Okay, what did you do? But the legacy will live on and on. Can't nobody take your legacy from you.
Yeah.
Okay. Martin Luther King, bottom line, his legacy.
Yeah.
So you can tear down the statue, you can take the basketball pavilion and change the name. Okay, you can tear down the football arena. You can change the street name. But what you've left in here,
Yes, sir.
within me,
Yeah.
will live
Yeah.
on. And especially if you left it correctly, if you deposited it correctly, I'm going to share it with somebody else, would share it with somebody else, would share it with somebody else. What Gabe was saying about how he's treated when he go back to Cameroon or whatever because of his grandfather, that's in here. So if we, we have to get our foundation laid before we go out into the community and start trying to touch people. We got to make sure that we have a good, solid foundation. Me, myself, and I got to be in tune with one another. And then we're ready to spread our legacy. If you go back to Jesus and his teachings, he recruited his disciples, he taught them, he made sure they were proficient, then he sent them out.
In pairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I say that again, you guys should seek to become grand masters.
Yeah. Yes,
because
sir.
then you have an area of influence where you develop grand masters. You serve, become leaders, and develop leaders. That's what this is all about. And I'm not saying you're not a leader, okay? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that we all have room for improvement.
Right.
Grandmaster Moore, Grandmaster Mays, calling into existence.
Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
I think also we have to just be real with ourselves, because I know when I came into masonry, I came in under selfish motives, and I think most of us do. And
Yeah.
I didn't come here with the intent of being a leader or being, you know, the leader of a lodge or the leader of anything else. I did want to improve myself, but it was for myself. You see what I'm saying? And so, you know, it's a great thing. Actually, it's not just a good thing; it's a great thing, because once you're in tune and doing what you're supposed to be doing, working on the level, being led by the Spirit, man, that's when we can really start to make some changes. But and also,
Exactly.
if you know, once you're doing it and I'm doing it and he's doing it, now we're that much more powerful. We're a true force. And now, what to say? One can put a 10 to flight. Two can put 100, three can put 1,000. So you know, the more people you have on one accord, the more power and authority that you have. So
Yeah, and more don't run over to your grandmaster talking about you want to be a grandmaster.
Right.
Rarely will you ever find one that says, "Great, man, come get close to me. I'm gonna show you how to do this." Okay.
Right.
Most of them are gonna get rid of you quick, fast, and in a hurry. But the idea behind it is duplication, multiplication. Okay. And that's where we're supposed to be. So when we talk about the legacy concept, we're talking about multiplication. And it might not be in the same field or industry, but we are talking about helping a person obtain, maintain, and share truth. Okay, fellas, this has been good. We right on time. I set these up for 2 hours. Rarely do we go this long, but hey, it's been good. Any closing comments, Brother Moore?
Man, I'm enjoying everything. I'm so much that I found a brother. He's a landscaper here in town. We went to high school together years ago. I haven't seen him, and I was just letting him know about your books, man, and found out he was on the square and whatnot. And I was just sending that information and inviting him to the video, so so he can get and gather all of this information, man. So I love it. The every day every Saturday, I look forward to these meetings, and we do this. I feel recharged, especially to learn from my brothers. You know what I mean? So
I got you.
I love you guys, man.
Well, I'm gonna send out the next 7 today or tomorrow, so we can start on those. Brother Gabe, how much longer are you gonna be in Dubai?
I don't know, but I'm going to work, I love these videos. It was good. Well, I love this meeting today. And closing statement is, as we're looking at elevating ourselves and building that legacy, the story of Jesus is excellent, because his birth was announced with divine prescription. He was very confident, disappeared from 18 to 30, went to work, low key, came back, trained his team, and here we are, right? So that journey is something that we can apply for ourselves, and remaining going to work every single day.
The original
Absolutely.
Supreme Team. That's the
Absolutely.
original Supreme Team.
Yep,
30 years in the making for 3 years of work.
exactly.
Exactly.
Facts.
Yeah. Brother Mays?
Yeah. Proper preparation prevents poor performance, and your proof is your performance.
There you go.
Awesome.
Spoken from a future pilot.
I am. Do you visualize yourself flying from here to there?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I fly now. I just fly smaller planes.
Yeah.
Right. Listen, you do electrical work too, right, brother?
Yeah, I have been.
But
Yeah.
listen, the reason I asked you that, because look how you light up when you talk about being a pilot versus being an electrician.
Yeah.
You smile, bro. Your smile be from not even I wouldn't say from ear to ear. It be from the back
Yeah,
ear
nah,
to
for
ear.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brothers,
Hey, there you go.
I'm just gonna say two things, which is the double O's is continuing to be open to instructions and to be obedient.
hey.
That's a first from brothers, but we love it.
Okay. Man, look, I have enjoyed this. For those of you listening and have bared with us, stayed with us throughout the video recording or recording of this video, do check us out on YouTube and like us, subscribe. Hey, we're here. We're trying to elevate our and your intellectual levels and moral levels. So let it all be blessed. And we'll talk again, fellas.
All right.
All
All
See
right.
you guys.
Where?
Shalom.
Brother Ware.
Brothers.
All right, Shabbat Shalom, brothers.
Shalom.
Shalom. Brother Ware, I'm about to send
Yeah.
you somebody's information, Brother Ware.
Okay, do that. I'll get
All
them
right.
on the list.
All right,
Okay.
thank you.
Bye.
Bye.